Welcome everyone to our webinar today. My name is Bill Galusha, the Vice President of Intelligent Document Processing at ABBYY. The webinar is on Next Generation Intelligent Document Processing, delivers a better way to process your documents. I'm joined by Maxine Vermeer, who's the Senior Director at ABBYY, covering the product ecosystem and engagement at ABBYY. We have a lot to cover today, but just a few housekeeping items that I'd like to quickly go through. All the listeners are in listen-only mode, but you can ask questions during the webinar. So there is a Q&A panel that you can enter questions, and Maxine's here to field those questions as we go along. The event is being recorded, so if by chance you have anyone from your organization that was unable to attend, they can certainly access the on-demand webinar after the event. If you are having any technical experience, there is a chat window that you can enter chat in there, and there's someone there that can address any technical issues that you're having as well. Again, the event is being recorded. We will try to get to all the questions that folks have, and should you have any questions, definitely enter them in the Q&A panel. I know we're joined by a few hundred people on today's webinar, so it is a popular topic in terms of intelligent document processing. Some of you are probably likely current users, customers of the ABBYY Intelligent Document Processing platform that we call Vantage. So we will be covering some of the latest advancements in the newest release that we announced a few weeks ago. Some of you may be new to IDP. Intelligent document processing, and really questioning or asking yourselves, well, why intelligent document processing? Really, what does this mean to my business, my organization? How does this fit into our overall intelligent automation strategy? And we'll try to answer some of those questions throughout this presentation in terms of really what some of the top benefits are related to intelligent document processing in terms of a strategy, and then also really kind of related to what this release means to your business. So for those current customers and users of the product, you'll get a better understanding of what some of the key capabilities that we introduced that certainly address some of the requirements that we see in automating document processes. The other thing too, I'll share some customer proof points in terms of how companies are transforming their business with intelligent document processing. And last, we'll follow up with a video demonstration that Maxine put together that is online at ABBYY.com, and then we'll wrap up with Q&A at the end. So let's get started. So really, I think if you take a step back, there is I would say, is a transformation challenge. So if I was to poll every person on this call, there's a reason you're here, is because you're trying to automate processes, and those processes you're trying to automate involve the movement of documents and the extraction of information from those documents and connecting it in with different workflow processes and approvals. And I would bet that problem exists across virtually every industry and covers a large percent of different use cases. So whether it's in banking, whether you're onboarding customers and needing to verify and validate someone's identity, be able to validate their proof of residency, their proof of employment, things like that. Those are all good examples within banking. A lot of customers today, customers in the past that have been with ABBYY for many, many years, have focused on finance and accounting. It's still a very common area where challenges still exist when it comes to everything related to finance. And that could be invoices, accounts payable, but it could be also the order to cash process involving purchase orders. It could be expense receipt management. It could be onboarding new vendors and suppliers, doing contractual contract type reviews. So there's a lot of different use cases that kind of fall into finance. And really, when you think about automating, those types of documents and addressing those challenges, it really is about managing your cost and being able to grow the business without having to exceed the cost that you've set in place. And those are real challenges today. If you think in terms of inflation, in terms of the cost of, areas of where costs have gone up in terms of salaries or other costs related to your business, as it relates to products, supply chain, logistics, things like that. There's definitely an absolute need to control cost. And by controlling costs, you look at the resources you're applying to those processes and figure out how can I reduce the amount of time, the resources that I use to automate those processes. And that applies across many different industries. We could segment out different industries, different use cases, and spend an hour just talking and focusing on very specific use cases. But really what I want to talk to you about is really about the movement in terms of automation around documents and really what organizations are doing. So the whole concept of document processing, the ability to read and extract information, perfect that information, pass it to downstream systems and processes, really not a new concept. I've been doing this for well over 25 years now, and a lot of the problems I see within enterprise organizations are the same exact problems that I saw 20 years ago. Things have changed in terms of just the market, the dynamics, the technology, the rapid innovation that companies are going through, the fact that many industries and services within different industries are being reinvented by companies that are more nimble and more flexible in terms of how they can approach and deliver services to customers and buyers. So these are real problems. But if I look at a lot of the customers that ABBYY has today, and PepsiCo is one of them, a longtime customer that's been using ABBYY's intelligent document processing products and solutions for quite some time. It's about evolving it. So a lot of customers today may have a system in place. It could be an ABBYY solution. It could be another competitive solution that you've used for years. But the reality is you kind of have to look towards the future in terms of what do I need to do to change the game within my business when it comes to automation. And that's what companies like Pepsi and others that are current customers or users of the technology from the past are looking towards the future in terms of how automation is changing. And that's really where the term that a lot of analysts and vendors have kind of gravitated to kind of define this next generation is really around intelligent document processing, or IDP. So it's really the business drivers then benefits to basically unlocking the insight of that data within those documents to ultimately improve your operational efficiency and outcomes. What's different about IDP and historically how we've looked at addressing problems related to unstructured data is about how can I get to value faster. That is ultimately a key. It's both a technical driver and a business driver. It's a technical driver because enterprises are looking for ways to deliver services in a more automated way across their business. So if you think of automation teams and how they interact with the different business groups and different functions, they are really servicing them as their customers, their users of the products and the technologies that they've either built or products they brought in-house to craft solutions that can be delivered in very specific areas. And I gave some examples on the last slide. But really what they're looking to is how do I deliver it faster? Because back to my point earlier is the market dynamics and the speed at which things are changing is extremely quick. You can't have a project take 3 months. You need to be able to react and deliver on the needs of the business. And the business realizes that as well too. So you have this kind of this push and pull from both sides of a business that are looking for ways to automate faster, thus reducing the amount of time it takes to develop projects and really accelerate kind of what has historically taken months to implement. So that's really, from a technical and business driver, what's really driving the technology. And it's not just around document processing. It could be across any suite of automation tools, robotic process automation. There's different business process automation platforms and SaaS offerings out there that are driving it. There's purpose-built solutions that use ABBYY's technology for order-to-cash payment type automation systems that are online. But ultimately, it's about getting to market faster with these solutions. The other thing too is really when you think of document processing at the crux of what we're doing is we're identifying and understanding the documents and being able to locate and extract that information in with documents. And for the most part, those documents are not structured. There is a small percent of documents that still kind of fit the fixed kind of format, but most of what we see today and probably what most are interested in is how do I handle the kind of the more semi-structured or completely unstructured types of documents and data. But accuracy is ultimately important because the greater accuracy you can achieve, the less human touch that is needed. So it goes back to the cost savings, the efficiencies in terms of, reducing the amount of touch requires that you can accelerate the process by increasing the accuracy by which you're extracting the information. And there's a lot that goes into accuracy from a technical standpoint, and it really goes beyond simply just reading the characters and the words from a field on a document. There's a lot more to automation that goes into play that allows you to get up to that 100% accuracy, which is ultimately what the goal should be. But the reality is if we set aside the whole accuracy discussion and kind of take an up level this conversation in terms of really what we're delivering, and what you'll see what we're delivering in this next release is about cost savings, is about faster processing. And so this relates to everything from onboarding customers to how you handle invoices to orders coming in to processing a medical claim or a P&C claim, or onboarding customers in different industries. The list goes on and on and on. But ultimately, what we're trying to get to, and if we had this conversation about what are your business drivers, what outcomes you're trying to achieve, ultimately the conversation will revolve around we're trying to reduce costs, we're trying to speed our processes, and at the same time we're trying to get to value faster, which is what from a technical standpoint, from a technology standpoint, is really driving a lot of the conversation. So how do we get to that value? How do we get to those numbers quicker? Well, it starts by turning data into actionable information. So again, I'm not going to get down into the weeds in terms of, well, how do what's your speeds and feeds? How do you read data from this document? What I'm going to tell you is there's a fundamental shift in terms of how the technology is being applied and new technology is being introduced to deliver what we call at ABBYY, we call a skill. And a skill is another way for saying a skill that can understand a very specific type of document, whether it's structured or completely unstructured. These skills are fundamentally what businesses and the users leverage to get started. You can build your own skills, but ultimately, what if you had a catalog of hundreds or even thousands of these skills ready to go that could be accessed, downloaded, and applied to your document automation processes? And that's what we strive with all the releases of our intelligent document processing product, which we call Vantage. It's about delivering new skills, new assets, new technology assets that is ultimately provide the building blocks to some of the use cases that I mentioned. So onboarding a customer. Well, if I'm onboarding a customer, there's lots of different types of documents I need to be able to process. If I'm doing accounts payable, I need to do invoices. If I'm doing order to cash, I need to be able to handle purchase orders. If I'm looking to automate our expense receipt management system, well, then I need a receipt skill. And I don't need just a receipt skill for English receipts. I need a receipt skill for many different countries and regions, which ultimately there's a lot of global companies that are looking not at this from just a specific country, but how they can spread automation across many different regions and countries that they're located in. So with this latest release that we introduced a few weeks ago, we introduced several new skills. And you can see some of the new skills that we introduced that are focused on some of the common government type forms, business cards, resumes, things like that. But the other key area of improvement that we'll continue to make is around many of the trained skills that we have in the marketplace today. So if you went out to marketplace.abby.com, you would see there's skills for invoices, purchase orders, utility bills, receipts, many skills for transportation and logistics. So all these skills have been improved. As we go from release to release, we update the core technology, we retrain the models, we have access to new documents, we get input from customers and our partners, and ultimately we use that as a way of retraining these skill models so that current customers, current users can benefit from them, as well as new customers and users that are exploring this technology. So today we have over 150 assets in the marketplace today. It's growing. It's not just the skills that I talked about, it's also connectors for a number of different systems, and I'll talk about some new connectors we've introduced. But if you went out there and you did a search by finance and accounting and said, I'm looking for an invoice skill, you would find a skill for invoices. And you wouldn't find just a skill for an invoice that does just English documents and only works in the US. You would find that there's an invoice skill that works in Canada. There's an invoice skill that works in Europe. There's an invoice skill that works in other countries as well. And that is really a core strength behind the technology. So when you look at automation, really what you're doing is you're taking a more global view at how documents impact and affect your business. And you can see there's many other skills that we have in finance and accounting. I mentioned a few in transportation, logistics, financial services, insurance, government, legal, you name it. There's all types of skills out there that you can get started with today. And one of the common questions that folks ask is, well, what if I don't find the skill that's in that marketplace? What do I do? There's really a couple options. One option is you could build the skill from scratch. So you have access to your documents. The process by which you build the skill starts with uploading a training set of documents and getting started. The other option, and we certainly do offer this up to customers, is there's opportunities for us to engage and work with customers and work with partners on opportunities. There are definitely different types of documents that we have on the roadmap in terms of skills that we want to train and build and make available to customers. So there is this opportunity to engage us and work with us directly. We have a team that focuses specifically on building these skills, and that's really, when you really think about it, these are fundamentally the building blocks to the solution, the framework that you're ultimately trying to deliver. So if I kind of just take a step back and say, well, how are customers using this? This is exactly how customers are rolling out Vantage today. Since we released kind of the next generation platform about a year and a half ago, we've had several hundred customers be onboarded into Vantage. And one of the customers is the Manchester University NHS Foundation Trust. So they were actually using an alternative solution that simply wasn't meeting the needs and the requirements. Specifically, they have hundreds and hundreds of different suppliers that generate all types of invoices, come in all different types of shapes and forms, and it created some significant challenges. So starting with the invoice skill that we provided them with the means of really kind of getting this project up and running at the beginning of the year in a very short amount of time. And this really did save their automation program. It wasn't just about automating the document processes, but you think about it, a lot of times we get focused just on the document part of the process, but ultimately, when you're trying to solve a problem within a business, it's not just about document processing, it's about everything that you're doing around automating the process. So in this case, it involved their other automation tools that they were using. So if the document process failed, the project failed. So this is ultimately a very key part to every strategy within an organization when it comes to intelligent automation. Another good example too, and I talked about kind of the rapid changes within the market. One of the areas where we see a lot of companies using our technology is through other services and other SaaS automation offerings within the market. And a good example is a customer that is a joint customer of ABBYY and Pipefy, and Pipefy provides business process automation. It's a SaaS solution in the cloud, so they handle the collaboration and workflow automation of documents and data that then they leverage ABBYY as the critical piece to being able to extract the data from invoices and then pass it right into a workflow. But in this case, this particular payment automation platform customer is really using the combined solution of Pipefy and ABBYY to deliver a solution that doesn't just focus on the data and the documents, but really focuses on the full end-to-end automation. It improves the integrity of the process. It lowers the risk for their customers, and it ultimately saves them a lot of time and resources. And we're seeing this as kind of a pivot in terms of these types of combined solutions is really what enterprises are either looking to deliver to their customers, their business groups and functions, or alternatively looking at other solutions where the ABBYY technology is combined with other services in the cloud as well too. So there's a lot of ways to kind of approach the challenges and problems, but ultimately I think taking the bigger picture, taking a look at the bigger picture ultimately allows customers to achieve their end goals. So I've talked a lot about, just kind of what's driving everything, where customers are implementing the latest technology. So let's shift a little bit to the new release. So we've done two significant updates this year, the 2.2 release, which was at the first half of the year, and the 2.3, which came out here a few weeks ago. The focus really is about obviously automating your critical document processes, but it's about how we get you there. And as I mentioned, one of the key areas that we continue to focus in on is around pre-trained document skills. So for all types of business processes, AP, customer onboarding, logistics, claims. And ultimately, what we've done is with every release, and even outside of releases, we'll continue to make updates into the marketplace. The other thing I should note is there's partners that contribute to that marketplace as well. Partners have a lot of domain experience and expertise in a lot of different industries and use cases in working with different systems, automation tools. So they're always a great resource to look to in order to kind of get to that solution that you want. But ultimately, we're reducing the months of development and effort by delivering these skills and other technology assets. With this release, we've also made some improvements in performance. So we benchmark and we measure the performance as it relates to the processing of documents from input to process to output. And we've made some significant advancements in the area around handling documents that can be several hundred pages. Large documents come in for different reasons. One could be you have remote sites where they're packaging up invoices, scanning invoices into one PDF document. That's one example. Another example could be you're doing commercial invoices, in which case commercial invoices can span dozens or even hundreds of pages. And those hundreds of pages that come in as part of a commercial invoice are actually just a table with line item details that span many pages. So we've improved the performance, both from a processing standpoint and then also from an interactive standpoint when operators or reviewers are reviewing the documents as well. That ultimately allows speed and scale to kind of meet the high volume enterprise requirements that we often see with many of our customers. We continue to benchmark the testing. So our internal testing shows that accuracy is better, as I mentioned, related to the trained skills. So sometimes we will focus in on specific fields on a skill where we're looking to make improvements. So we look at it, if you take an invoice, could be hundreds of fields on an invoice, and we'll benchmark the results for each of those fields and then focus in on the ones where we can make improvements. Handwritten text recognition as well has been improved. We've also added some additional languages as well. And then tables is another area we've ultimately improved. And I mentioned this earlier, the more accuracy that you can get, whether it's just purely from how you read and extract the data to how you validate it to how you process it. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is reduce the amount of human touch that has to happen during the process. So from this release, we've introduced several new major capabilities. I will share some information at the end of the presentation that talks about where you can get more details on this release. We've really advanced the underlying core technology. So from a development standpoint, it's building the application, but ultimately the core technology that kind of drives the automation is always a key focus for us. We focused on handling some really complex cases that we've seen within a lot of different customer use cases. So now you have the ability to detect and split documents of the same type. So going back to the scenario where I mentioned where you have hundreds of invoices in a PDF, the software needs to understand where an invoice starts and ends. Some invoices are 1 page, some are 5 pages, some are 10 pages. So what we've automated now is the ability to detect and split those documents up before classifying and then extracting the data. We've also focused a lot on handling different scenarios with complex tables. So tables come in all kinds of different shapes and sizes. So a nice formatted table is always great to see because those are the easiest ones to handle. But what do you do when you have 2 tables that are side by side? So it looks to the software, it looks like it's 2 tables or 1 table. So we've now made some improvements there. Tables that, obviously I mentioned tables that span many pages. In a lot of cases, you're dealing with documents like contracts where you could have potentially lots of different tables within a document. So those are the types of scenarios, or tables that have that are very packed in, where the data is very, very close together. You know, the columns are really tight, the rows are very tight. That's another area that we've focused on improving in this release. From a process design and management, so if you think in terms of everything around the core technology, but really what it doesn't just stop there. It's really about how do you automate the workflow process? How do you move documents through a process? And that's an area that we've invested in with this release by establishing more controls over review steps, being able to segregate access, and then apply actionable monitoring to the data and the documents as it moves through a workflow process. Human in the loop is also been improved, and this is a key part. So if you think there are exceptions where documents have to be put into a queue and to let an operator review the document. So in those cases, we've given more control over the user experience. Ultimately, what we're trying to achieve here is make the operators, the human reviewers, more productive. So allowing them to skip over fields, only verify fields that require review, the ability to kind of customize and group fields together, reorder fields, put fields side by side. These are things that are more cosmetic to the how it looks to the user, but ultimately what it's designed to do is just ultimately make the human operators more productive. And then mobile capture is really big. So I mentioned a few of the use cases where we see where mobile capture really can enhance the experience when it comes to ad hoc document processing. So the ability to connect, upload documents, select a Vantage skill, and process those documents. So we've made some improvements here around the whole mobile capture experience. If you're a current user of Vantage today, you can, there's different ways you can get started with this. One of the ways is the app, and it's a micro app, so it's not a full native app that you would normally download from one of the stores. It can be downloaded both from the Apple App Store as well as the Google Play Store. But ultimately, it gives your business users and your customers a quick way to complete document-related tasks from their mobile devices. So, as more and more employees have gone remote over the last few years, some have returned back to the office. We still have a very distributed business model in a lot of companies today. And that's really where mobile capture can play a key requirement in some of the use cases and processes that you're trying to automate. And then as it relates to the customer experience, this is equally important because a lot of how a process gets started, initiated, is done online, digitally, by the customer, but then results in what we will call trailing documents that are required in order to complete the task downstream within the business. And that could be documents like proving someone's identity, proving their employment, proving how much they made in terms of salary, proving where they live. It could be documents that require signatures. So you can start to think how this creates a nice, secure method for ingesting documents and connecting it within an internal business process within an organization. So that's, from a high level, it's really what we've introduced that's new in Vantage 2.3. The other area that we're focused on, and this is really where Maxine can talk more about it at the end, is his focus on our whole overall partner ecosystem and connect strategy in order to connect to all different systems. So back to the topic that I brought up, it's not just about documents and processing documents, but it's also about how you connect this into the larger end-to-end workflow process. And so it's really about adding intelligence to drive better business outcomes. And that could be in the case of using tools like RPA, BPM, business process automation, chatbots, mobile, and really virtually any type of system. So a couple new and updated connectors that I did want to mention are Alteryx, which was an existing connector that we've updated. We've added some new capabilities, and then the new connector that we've introduced for Pega and their business process management platform as well. So if you think of ABBYY and Pega, and I'm sure there's probably some customers or even users that are familiar with Pega that have used in the past. Obviously, Pega provides a low-code development platform for automating a lot of different types of process, in particular around banking and insurance, improving the customer experience, back office processes regarding like lending or loan origination. All of these processes are things that areas that Pega has historically focused on. So now when you combine ABBYY and the intelligent document processing capabilities to a workflow within Pega, really you get the best of both worlds. You're leveraging ABBYY's low-code IDP offering with the Pega platform, allowing really the Pega developers, the teams, the automation teams, to build applications faster now, not having to wait months, as I mentioned earlier. And really, the other thing is being ready for what comes next. So this isn't just about what am I going to do today in terms of automation, but what am I going to do next year or 2 years from now? And the investment that you make today is going to impact how you can automate tomorrow. So that's a really key decision to make as you kind of move forward. The other interesting, and I highlight the Alteryx, and there's a lot of different connectors that are out there in the marketplace for the different RPA tools like UiPath and Blue Prism and Automation Anywhere. There's connectors into other systems as well, so you can check them all out in the marketplace. But the reason I bring up Alteryx because it provides an interesting set of use cases that we're seeing resonate within the market, which, often I get asked, where should we start? What should we automate? And frankly, a lot of people start with the low-hanging fruit. They look in an area like finance, they find a lot of people that are doing manual work, and that's where they start. But what if you could use ABBYY and Alteryx together? And for those who are not familiar with Alteryx, it's an analytic process automation platform, a very popular platform out there used by thousands and thousands of users globally. But it provides the analytics capabilities to really access and process and analyze information from a variety of different sources, right? So one of those sources is obviously documents. And a lot of times the documents that an Alteryx scientist, data scientist, I'll call them, or a business analyst is looking to do is it contains unstructured data. So, and that's really where, when you combine ABBYY and Alteryx, you get into some pretty interesting and impactful business cases that can be explored. So we always focused on, I'll give an example, we always focus on automating invoices. So it's about getting the data off an invoice, validating the data, and then passing that data to an ERP system like SAP. But one of the more interesting use cases I see is what if you could then take that data and pass it into Alteryx and actually compare that data to contracts that you have with different suppliers. So essentially what you're doing is it's more of an analytics process where you're analyzing the data and comparing it to other data to ensure that the invoice that you just processed actually aligns with the terms of the contract. And this is a real case. There are customers of ABBYY that are using ABBYY's technology in that way, maybe not necessarily directly with Alteryx, but that is a common use case. The key thing here is repeatability, right? So you have to be able to perform the analysis in a repeatable way. It can't be a just once-off, one and done type project. Certainly those projects you know exist, and analytics tools like Alteryx can be used in that way, but it's really a process that you're trying to create here. And that's really where this ABBYY plus Alteryx, or if you're not an Alteryx customer, plug in whatever analytics tool you're using today. And I think there's some repeatable opportunities to drive significant cost savings and value for your company. The last thing I'll talk about, and then I'll run a quick demo video of the latest Vantage release, is and it goes back to my big picture, is it's not just about documents and processing the data, it's about everything from end to end. So I think when you think about document processing, think about after I've already processed the data, the documents, got the information off these documents, validated all the information, and then handed it off to my workflow automation tool of choice, what happens then? And that's really where we see it as a bigger, even a much bigger opportunity in terms of value and optimization that an organization can experience. And so it's really about combining all the information, all the transactional information that we've passed from the Vantage Intelligent Document Processing platform to a process mining discovery type tool like Timeline to be able to further analyze, monitor, and optimize your business processes. And it's not just the data, the transactional data, or the data related to that you've extracted of the documents. It's everything that happens downstream as well. So how do you know when you've passed that document and that data into your SAP system? How do you know how quickly it's actually getting paid? Right? What are the users doing downstream? Is the data that I'm taking from ABBYY and passing it into my ERP system, is there some vendor that's causing all the exceptions, the things that require a lot of rework? Because frankly, that's where you spend a lot of your time. It's the simple invoices, as I'll use an example, those are easy. But what do you do with all the exceptions? Those are the ones you spend a ton of time making phone calls, sending emails, trying to figure it out. Are we paying the right amount? And the way to do that is by understanding what you're doing with that information downstream. How are your human operators, your financial analysts working with that data in your ERP system or whatever the business process is? So that really ensures that you're getting a full picture of the value that you're getting out of this solution. And that's ultimately what you're going to have to show to the business, right? So I wanted to kind of wrap up with that and now switch over to the demonstration here. So give me 1 minute. Go ahead and run this.
Hi everyone, I'm Max. I'm really excited to be talking to you about Vantage 2.3, our latest and greatest release. Document processing. There's simply a better way that it can be done. Today, enterprises have many vendor choices for processing documents, but not all of them are created equal. With Vantage 2.3, there's simply a better way. The latest Vantage 2.3 release continues to deliver on a no-code, low-code strategy by introducing new pre-trained skills, better machine learning, improved table extraction, and capabilities around document workflow management. And also not to mention the new mobile capture that's been introduced to really work efficiently in your customer transactions. Now, all of these benefits that I'm going to walk you through today with the Vantage 2.3 release help you to reduce the time it takes to get into production by leveraging new pre-trained skills and models from Vantage. You can achieve faster performance when it comes to processing documents that are several hundreds of pages. And our benchmarks have shown that once again, we have improved our accuracy to make it even better in terms of handwriting and handwritten text when compared to other large vendors. All of this great capability absolutely is powered by the ABBYY marketplace, our growing catalog of document processing assets to deliver faster time to value for you and your customers. In this latest release, we have introduced several production skills that are trained and ready to be used with your documents. Some of these new skills include the IRS Form 990, W4, W8 forms, resumes, and business cards. We've also improved the skill accuracy and capabilities of our invoices, purchase orders, utility bill, certificate of origin, and receipt skill. It's going to be great to see how you can quickly enjoy the benefits of having a quicker time to deployment, expanding automation to all your business areas, and of course, you can try out all of these skills before licensing. One of the things I'm most excited about is actually the new capabilities in our processing skill. With new workflow design and management, we've added several capabilities to the processing skill to make it even better for you to work with multi-step flows inside of your document process. A document process sometimes requires multiple business users to review documents, and most importantly, you definitely get documents in a single file that actually contains multiple documents that you want to split out. In what you're seeing right now, I'm going to show you how you can work with those use cases, handle exceptions, and escalate documents to others for review. Within the new processing skill capabilities, this can now be managed by creating review queues, using our document splitter skill, and pre-trained splitting skills that are coming from ABBYY as well. The first one that we're going to introduce is invoices. So whenever you now have an invoice or a set of invoices coming in a single file, or you've captured them using our mobile capture capability, which we'll see later, we'll actually be able to automatically split them, nothing for you to set up. So with this great benefit of these features, you can now handle business exceptions quite easily and delegate work to different operators. What I also want to introduce you to is the capability to create a custom human-in-the-loop form layout. With human-in-the-loop, human verification and corrections can occur to ensure accuracy of the extracted data. In the latest release of Vantage 2.3, you can customize the review client experience to fit the needs of the human reviewer, simplifying exception handling and increasing employee efficiency. As you can see, it's very easy to set up with just a few clicks, and this introduces increased user productivity, and you can definitely design the review layout to handle complex forms. Now let's bring all of this together, our entirely newly designed enhanced invoice processing skill that we created together throughout this demo. Let's bring it together and use it with our Try Any Skill demo client. So you can go here when you have access to your Vantage environment and actually try out any of the skills that we have available in the skill catalog. So let's actually upload a set of documents here, a single file that contains multiple invoices. The skill that we just created is going to automatically split them and then present them for review. In addition to that, we'll also upload a few documents using our mobile client. The mobile capture experience now supports capturing multiple documents as part of one single transaction. So here you'll see this happening in our mobile client, and as you can also see, you have a choice to either use our app clip or simply use the browser. In this case, we're using the browser to show you how efficient this experience is going to be across any kind of mobile device. This really allows you to automate customer experiences involving onboarding customers, initiating loans, or a line of credit. And also, you'll be able to empower remote workers at home to complete their work from a mobile device. Now, as soon as all of these documents have been uploaded and processed, we can go back and see that they are ready for manual review. In the manual review, when we click on that, we'll see that we have our specifically designed form, and that we can also send the documents to a specific stage. With this capability, we can send the document, for example, to a detailed review step and leave a message for the person that is going to receive this particular task. Shortly after we complete the review task, all of the data that has been captured for all of the individual documents is ready and available to us. One last quick call to action. Go to abby.com/vantage to learn more about the exciting Vantage 2.3 release. I look forward to seeing all of the great things that you, our customers, and our partners are going to be building in terms of solutions with the Vantage 2.3 capabilities.
Excellent. So let me just flip back to the presentation here. All right, so while we were offline, or I was offline and watching the video, there were several questions that came in. So, but before we get into the questions, because I'm sure there's quite a few, just wanted to kind of close out with some next steps. So the video you just saw is available on abby.com/vantage. There's a lot of information that you can find about the new release out there. So that's certainly one resource that I would encourage you to check out. If you're new to ABBYY, new to intelligent document processing, I'm sure you have lots of questions. You can contact us at intelligence@abby.com, and we'll certainly follow up with a conversation with you. In terms of current users of the product, there's a lot of information that we've provided. We learn from every release in terms of how we can enable you and ensure that you're up to speed on the latest enhancements. But you can go out to abby.com, as I mentioned. I would encourage you to check out the marketplace as well. And then in terms of training, documentation, you can learn about all the enhancements. There is a training course that's specifically focused on 2.3, so it goes into more detail beyond what we showed today. That is available to all customers, all users of the product. That's up at the ABBYY University. Release notes are now in the online help. So when you log into Vantage, you simply go to online help and you can have the release notes, and you will see that there's a lot of enhancements that we've made, things that we did not cover in this release. A lot of specific details, so I would encourage you to take a look at that. And the library, video library, that's available on abby.com as well, has videos, tutorial videos on getting started with any of the capabilities of the product. So I know we had a lot of questions. So Max, maybe we can I'll let you kind of start off with a couple questions that came in.
Yeah, sure, I'd be happy to, Bill. And actually, one of the questions that just came in is quite interesting, which is regards to one of the new functionalities in Vantage 2.3, which is about splitting documents that come into single PDF files. So the question is, our customers send us single PDF files containing hundreds of documents, so splitting really is critical for us. Do you need to do scripting for the splitter skill to work? Well, the answer is no. So even in our Advanced Designer today, you can build new splitter skills that allow you to split different types of documents. And ABBYY as well is going to start, or actually continue to develop, out of the box splitting skills. Like we have the invoice splitting skill today, we'll have new splitting skills available over time in the marketplace and on the Vantage platform to cover more and different types of documents. And maybe another one that was related to the demo video is a question around mobile capture. So the question is from Michael asking, is mobile capture included in the Vantage licensing, or is it an add-on? Now, I think, Bill, you'll agree with me when I say that mobile is definitely a key capability of Vantage, so it is included inside of the overall platform capabilities, because we see it as incredibly essential to further or to completely automate any kind of document-driven task, even with integrations. And that's one of the beautiful things about the way that the mobile capabilities of Vantage work, is that they can seamlessly integrate into other platforms as well, including, so for example, Pega with the connector that we just released.
Excellent. Yeah, I would also add to the question about document splitting. There's other ways to assemble documents as well. So if it was a PDF with, say, for example, 3 or 4 different types of documents, it obviously will detect or classify those documents appropriately and then split the documents. So I'll go back to the example, like say there was an income statement, a W-2, and someone's driver's license. We would detect each of those documents based upon the classification and then split the documents accordingly. And that's all done through the assembly activity that's in Vantage today as well. Any other questions? There's quite a few questions. I see some here that were coming in, and probably some of them we answered online.
Yeah, I'm going to pick out one that I think is interesting just to bring for the entire audience. And the question is, how many documents do you need in your training set when building your own Vantage document skill? And the beauty of Vantage is that it leverages, like Bill talked about, many different types of technologies, proprietary technologies, such as fast machine learning inside of it to actually train for documents. The great thing is, Vantage already understands the general concept of a document, which means that we don't need as many documents as you would typically see from other vendors that use machine learning as a basis to further, to build these extraction capabilities. So actually with Vantage, you can start with as little as 3 different documents to get started on building your extraction skill, which is a very low number. Now, of course, the rule of thumb is that you need about 3 different samples of each variation of a document to further train that skill to a production level. But this also depends, again, there's different technologies available inside of the Vantage platform. So you can have different techniques working together, machine learning, rule-based learning, and then of course also the deep learning, training new neural networks, all working together in unison to give you the best possible outcome of extraction in different scenarios.
Yeah, and there was another question too, and I assumed this one was going to come up. I focused on or talked a little bit about accuracy in terms, and I think that's an important question to ask, but I don't think that's the only question that you would be asking of a vendor. It's much when you're trying to solve a complex problem. There's a lot that goes into it beyond just simply how accurate is the text that was read from a document. But it's a valid question. We definitely have made some improvements in handwriting. We've added some new languages. French and German are now supported in the latest release. There's additional languages we're introducing next year. But based upon our own, training to extract handwriting, you're going to get very, very good high accuracy. But there's a lot that goes into it too. So it could be the quality of the image, the quality of the handwritten text. You're going to get a lot of variability in terms of the type of text. But then if you compare that to machine printed text, a lot of the documents that we see that come in, some are scanned images. In other cases, they're actual PDFs that are digital PDFs. And when it's a digital PDF, there's different ways in which we actually lift the text off the document. So if there's a text layer within the PDF, we can capture the information that way from a PDF. We can also run it through and recognize and extract the data, and then do a comparative analysis between the recognized results and the text that we took out digitally. And the reason for doing that is because the text that's digitally within a PDF doesn't always match what's actually visibly shown within the document. So, but there's a lot of different techniques. And then it's not just the extraction. It's what a common way in terms of verifying and validating the information on a document is you might be comparing doing lookups to another system to verify that the vendor is in your system, or the address that you have for a vendor is actually the correct address that's been extracted from a document. The other benefit of using what we call catalogs is the ability to pre-fill other fields too. So being able to do a lookup and pre-fill other fields versus having to read data from the field. There's lots of different rules, the validations, different expressions you can do to hone in on the data that you're extracting. So it's not just a lot of times people like to get fixated on the kind of the raw accuracy results, but there's so much more that goes into it in terms of. And the other thing too is take a step up, take it up a notch, and say, what am I trying to solve here, right? And is the solution going to be able to solve the problem that we've outlined? So I'll end there. Maxine, any other questions?
Yeah, I see a really interesting one that just. Yeah, I see a really interesting one that just came in from Neil, which is 5,000 resumes to be extracted. What could be the lead time training your machine learning post-production? Well, the great thing is on the marketplace, you'll actually find a skill that is ready to go for resumes. So a lot of the work is already done, and that's the great benefit of using Vantage in combination with the ABBYY marketplace, that you can really have a lot of different document types just sitting there waiting for you to get started. So I think the lead time will definitely be a lot lower than what you would typically expect. Now, I definitely recommend that you reach out to us so that we can have that conversation in a bit more detail, but we'd be happy to help you with that. And I think the important bit is, there's a ready to go skill that will definitely bring down that lead time.
Yeah. And I think I'll end on this last question. It's kind of related to the question about the resume skill. Is a question where Michael was asking, how frequently do we update and retrain the skills? We definitely do it from every release. If you look in the marketplace, there's 150 plus assets out there. And someone had asked, what is the definition of an asset? An asset is a skill, like a document skill. It could be a process skill as well. But it's also connectors that are out there. It's custom activities, it's demo apps, it's solutions. But if you looked out there and did a filter to see how many skills ABBYY's developed, we've developed about 50 or so to date. There's actually more partner skills in the marketplace today as of a few months ago. So those 50 or so skills we're continuously adding. We will introduce new skills out of release cycles, so we don't necessarily wait for a release to come out. We may update some of the skills if it makes sense, but we definitely update and retrain a large percentage of those skills as we move from version to version. So I think that's really important. The other thing that's very important is if you took a skill and you started using it and you trained it on some of your documents and you've achieved the level of accuracy that you want. The one thing that we do within the product it's very unique is that we don't force you to update what we call the core technology. So the end goal is we want to continue to have a path by which you continue to use these skills in future releases of the product and continue to obtain the same results that you did in previous releases. So when we retrain skills and we do update the core technology and the skills that are in the marketplace, because generally speaking, there's improvements we've made, we've added to the training sets, and therefore we retrain those skills. So there was lots of good questions. There may be a few questions here I think that maybe we didn't get to, and if so, definitely connect with us, or we will certainly connect with you. I appreciate everyone's time. I know everyone's time is precious, and hopefully for those that are customers, you got a good sense of what's new in this release. If you're a partner and you're just getting certified on Vantage, I hope you found this useful. And then if you're completely new to intelligent document processing and have lots of questions, then we're here to help you and answer those questions for you. So again, thank you to everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.